I keep going on and on, I am going to give the call to the man with the plan. I am so proud of him. It's amazing to witness somebody who actions match their words, somebody that is truly into the service of the people, somebody that is dedicated, and they dedicated their whole entire life into bettering our communities and being a servant for our people. And in return, he just keep being blessed and he deserves it all. And I'm just so grateful to be on this journey. Martin Christopher Glenn.
Greetings, family. Hope everybody can hear me. Sabrina, you got me pumped up. You got me inspired. And Sabrina, like sometimes she just finds out these topics like the day before. So it's just always amazing like how things align. And it's frequency. It's a frequency. And so everything that Sabrina was saying is just about that frequency. It really is frequency, y'all. I'm so happy to see you guys here. Every week we do this. If there's anybody new here, we do this every week because what this does is this takes us to another level and we get to shift to a new frequency, right? That's what we're talking about, shifting to a new frequency and wealth consciousness. Everyone on here is an entrepreneur. And what do entrepreneurs do? We solve problems, okay? All of us have problems. I don't care how much money anybody on here has, you will have financial challenges. Why? Why is that? Because if you have a goal and you want to move up, you're going to have obstacles. Question?
Hey.
Yeah.
LaQuisha had wrote in a group that some people waiting in the waiting room, so I just wanted to bring that to your awareness.
All right. I don't see anyone in there, though. You said someone's in the waiting room, LaQuisha? I wonder if they're in the right meeting, because I don't see nobody.
Okay, I'm sorry then.
Okay. All right, no problem. I'm paying attention.
I think she said she left.
Okay, cool. Okay. I'll be on. Okay. I'm on standby. I'm paying attention. So you're going to have challenges, right? And a lot of us don't get that there will be challenges. That's part of your existence here, right? If you don't have, only people with money problems are people with money. All right. And so there's a song, more money, more problems. I think Biggie made it, more money, more problems. Why? Because you're shifting and you're going to higher levels of consciousness. All right. So as you move up, you're going to hit challenges. What Sabrina said was very important. To move up, you don't just go straight up. If you study when a space shuttle leaves this atmosphere, it cannot just go directly up. If you watch it, they do not shift directly up, right? Everything has a code. Everything has a certain avenue to leave to get to a certain altitude, okay? If you try to just go straight up, you would die. You would implode. When you try to violate law, right? When you try to violate universal law, that's what happens. You die, you explode, right? So the challenges that some of you are having or that we're having financially, right? This is necessary because these challenges make you a better person, right? They make you a better business person. And they literally create the character that you are today. And I would not be who I am if I did not have challenges, right? 3 years ago, everything I had was burnt up in a fire. I witnessed it burn, right? Yeah, you can't do nothing when your house on fire, right? But 3 years later, everything I had, I've got triple that, right? That's because of my consciousness, right? Wherever you're at right now is based on your consciousness, right? That is your awareness. So if you are in a level of poverty or you're at the same financial aspect, that's because your consciousness is exactly where it's been for the past 5, 10 years or whatever. In order to get to another level, you have to shift to another level of consciousness. What does consciousness mean? It simply means awareness. Okay, it simply means to be aware, right? And that's what we're dealing with, awareness, right? Levels of awareness. So conscious, one, aware of responding to one's surroundings. Whenever you got in business, you made a decision to get in business, right? You was conscious of the business to a certain extent. The more research that you did, the more you became aware of it. Like Sabrina said, we all have a level of consciousness. Okay. The problem is when your consciousness doesn't shift, when you still are acting and moving as you did 5 years ago. All right. So everyone here has, I see people trying to get in now. Everyone here has a wealth consciousness, everyone here does not necessarily have wealth. Everyone here has a certain consciousness of what they think wealth is, right? To say it correctly. Having knowledge of something, to be aware. So everyone here has a certain level of knowledge of finances. Well, guess what? When you look at your bank account or what's in your pocket or in your wallet or your credit cards, whatever that amount is, whatever your credit card limit is, whatever your bank account is, you know where it is going to be next week. A lot of you know what it's going to be next year. That's your level of consciousness of wealth, whatever that is. That might frighten some of you because if you're right now, if you say, well, I'm broke, right? To say that is your level of consciousness. You're only aware of being broke. You're only aware of being financially challenged. You're only aware of, I every month I just make my light bill payment, or I just make just enough, or I know I'm gonna, oh Lord, please help me. If I just need to pay my light bill every month. And guess what? Most people in America, they do pay their light bill every month, but they don't have anything extra. They don't have anything that they really say they want. They don't have enough money to go on a vacation, right? They don't have enough money to really do the things that they say they want to do. They're not free, right? So we're talking about wealth consciousness tonight. Wealth consciousness. Wealth consciousness is the state of mind that's inflexibly attuned to abundant wealth. That's what wealth consciousness means. A state of mind that's inflexibly attuned to abundance of wealth. What's inflexibly mean? It can't be bent. It can't be broke. It's not flexible. That means your mind is constantly on abundance and wealth. All right. So if you say, I want to be a millionaire or whatever it is, we just talk money sometimes because it's easy to wrap your head around money because you can see it, right? But what you'll find is that money is really not physical, but because that's one of the lowest forms, it's easy to relate to us because we all deal with what we call money on some level, right? So when I talk money, it's not because it's just all about money. That's an easy way for you to wrap your head around something, right? So when I said, well, whatever's in your bank account, that's your wealth consciousness. That made you think about it differently. Like, damn, okay, shoot, if I, even if it was $50,000, right? Well, how long can you really live off of that, right? So wealth consciousness is the state of mind that's inflexibly attuned to abundance of wealth. Wealth consciousness, making a clear decision to break out of the myths, mental patterns that impoverish us and draw us again and again into the poverty cycle. See, a lot of us think poverty is, like they used to show us on TV, some kids in Ethiopia with the bellies out and flies around them. You say that's poverty. Or you say, somebody in a third world country, or you see in Mexico and the water's barely running. We say, oh, that's poverty, right? Well, in America, most of us probably don't know people we probably don't see kids with the stomach out and flies around them. And most of us do have water, right? But the thing is, a lot of us in America, it's just prettied up and looks beautiful because a lot of us, we could not exist without the government's aid and help. Okay, so you're at a level of poverty. What is poverty really? It's a mind state, right? So wealth consciousness, let's read it. Making a clear decision to break out of the myths. What is one of the myths that kills us? Money is bad. Money is the root of all evil. And mental patterns, what are mental patterns? Those are the bad habits that so many of us have, right? That's being financially literate, and we just got bad habits. We mismanage money. We don't understand it. So breaking out of the myths that somebody gave us, the mental patterns that impoverish us and draw us again and again into the poverty cycle. So when you had to think of, if I ask somebody what is wealthy, and they gave me a monetary view of wealth, most people would say something that they don't have. And I say, well, can you see yourself having it? Most people would say, I don't know. You know, you might have to sell your soul to get this, or you might have to do such and such to get that. These are myths that people have given us, and they want you to believe that because it keeps you from being who you are, right? And to be who you are is to be really fearless and not be afraid to say it, right? Because when Sabrina was like asking everybody, well, who are you, right? And we heard a bunch of different answers, right? But anything after I am, you will become it. But who you are and describing who you are as adjectives are really two different things. Who are you at essence? So if I say I'm at essence, who I am, who is Martin Glenn, is a spiritual being, first and foremost. Why does that matter? Can you grab a spirit? Can you hold it? Can I grab it? Right? It's something that can be felt, right? But you can't necessarily touch it and grab it and hold it and bind it. It can't be locked down. It can't be put in prison. But if you have a spirit and I have a spirit, what is that telling us? Spirit can take on form. And if you, at essence, acknowledge that you are the spiritual part first, then you can take on any form. So who am I? I'm a spiritual being. I'm the formless in form, right? So if I'm formless, I'm saying that right now, I might have $1 million, but I will create 100 million because I can take on any form. Okay, I was a t-shirt salesman at 19, right? And then when I was in my 20s, I owned a clothing store. Then in my 30s, I started a tax company. So you take on different forms. You're that same way too. What's happening is your consciousness shifts and you become whoever you want to become. But if you have a consciousness of wealth, then you will understand there are no limits. There is no scarcity. You're not lacking anything. Okay. And then you take that concept of wealth consciousness and you adapt it, and then you create your own economy. Remember the real meaning of economics? The real meaning of economics is not what they taught you in school. Economics, the word is derived from a Greek word, oikonomia, which means household management or management of household affairs, how people earn income and resources and how they spend them on necessities, comforts, and luxuries. So if you understand, if I shift my consciousness to wealth, in other words, I stop thinking limit and I think unlimited, and I stop speaking with limit. I stop saying I'm broke. I can't get this loan. I can't do that. If I stop thinking in lack and I think only in abundance and wealth, what will happen? Your body will shift and you'll start to move. That's why you will create your own economy, because you will take it for what it means. It means household management. So it will start with you personally, first and foremost. You will get your household affairs in order, and then everything outside of you will start to flourish, right? But it starts with a wealth consciousness. Wealth consciousness deals with the universal law of abundance. Okay. The law of abundance states there's more than enough energy or money for everyone who knows how to acquire it and keep it. We live in an abundant universe in which there is sufficient money for all who really want it and are willing to obey the laws governing its acquisition. What's that really mean? There is no limitation of money. Everybody here has seen or heard the news, and there's what, 2 wars are going on in the world. Now, prior to that, all I heard was some people on the news talking about we ain't got money, America ain't got no money. But as soon as these wars started, I heard those same people saying, oh, we're going to send $1 billion to this country. We're going to send another $1 billion to that country. I thought it was no money. The same people that told you there wasn't no money for you, when they decided and agreed on money for something else, that money manifested. Why? Because what does the law of abundance say? We live in an abundant universe where there's sufficient money for all who really want it and are willing to obey the laws governing acquisition, right? For everyone who knows how to acquire it and keep it. So these people know some laws that you don't know, because this money just materialized and there's $1 billion being sent around the world. But they, a few weeks prior to that, they told you it wasn't no money. Okay. So money is created here mentally first. The same way people created that money to solve a problem that they saw fit, you have to create money the same way. How do you do that? You decide that you want it. And once you make the decision, things will start working for you. Why? Because you'll only move in alignment with what you really want. It's a wealth consciousness. It's a consciousness of wealth, right? Not poverty, wealth. If there was no money, I talk to people and I always say, yeah, what if there was no money? If there was no money, when there was no money as we know it today, we dealt with bartering and trading. The people that had the most apples or oranges or land had a wealth consciousness. So don't think wealth consciousness is all just about a green dollar bill. Because you go to another country, they got their own currency. And now they got cryptocurrency. But the people that have this green dollar bills, trust me, they got a lot of the cryptocurrency and they got a lot of that green grass and earth because they deal with a consciousness of wealth, right? It's a consciousness. It doesn't matter what currency. It doesn't matter if they shift the currency, right? It's being conscious of how to acquire wealth. Somebody conscious of how to acquire wealth. It's a consciousness. Now, we use the word a lot, wealth. But who really knows the definition of it? See, a lot of us use words and we don't really know what they mean, right? And we're going to get into that. Because if we're talking about wealth consciousness, let's talk about how do you acquire wealth, first and foremost. Being rich and being wealthy is 2 different things. Rich people make a lot of money. And you can turn on the TV right now and there's some guy who was rich yesterday and he's broke today. Or let's say his company went belly up. Well, if he was rich, but his money was based off of somebody else. Okay. Wealth is built by 2 things, resource and time. Okay. When they talk about America, they say the wealthiest country on the planet. How did it become that? If the country was founded in 1776, how did they go from a bunch of vagabond rejects kicked out of Europe, Europeans that was here and could barely survive, the people that was indigenous to this land helped them survive? How the heck did they become the wealthiest country on the planet? You tell me. With these 2 things right here, a resource and time. In order to build wealth, you got to have those 2 things. Those are the 2 main ingredients, right? The resource, unfortunately, according to them, because that's how they labeled, they kidnapped other humans and that became a resource, right? And then what did they do? They cultivated that resource of kidnapped humans, stolen scientists, doctors, agriculturalists, and those humans created the economy here, not for 1 year, not for 2, not for 10, not for 20, not for 100, for hundreds of years, which is time. A resource was cultivated and it produced what you call wealth. So that's why when you talk about generational wealth, you have to have a resource and you got to cultivate it with time. So when I'm talking to people, I say, man, you got to make an investment. You can't be wealthy without an investment, right? So if you invest in some property today, right, and it might be worth $50,000, you might just put 5,000 down. 5 years, that property might be valued at $200,000. You got to have that 5 years though. The resource will be the land or the property, and you put time with it, and it accumulates. So that in order to build wealth, you have to have those resource and time. What our problem is, right? We don't want to do either or, right? We don't have resources, and we want everything like this. And because you want things so fast, what you want it so fast, somebody finds a way to give you what you want right away to pacify you, right? Because you want it fast. But you can't produce wealth. So when everybody is cool, everybody talks about, man, I want to create generational wealth. Most people can't even break that down. That means wealth that could take care of not you. You're gonna die. We went over the last class, and what was it like? I forgot how many weeks, 4,000 weeks or whatever, right? That the average human lives 77 years, right? You're going to be dead. But how will your legacy? Can your grandkids live off of what you did and 80, 90 years if we're lucky to be here, right? Can your kids live off of what you did for generations? That's what's called a generation. A lifespan. So when people are saying, well, Black people don't have any generational wealth, right? And the people that are descendants from the ones who set this, system up, they're living off of generational wealth. They're living off of wealth from generations, right? So, when Donald Trump talk about, I pulled myself up because my daddy gave me $1 million loan. Well, he had generations of wealth to be able to loan your kids money. How are you going to do this? How are you going to carry your bloodline? Right? What investments are you making to establish something for you? Probably everybody on here got a child. Right? And it ain't when you go, what investment have you made to produce generational wealth? And more than the land, which is the resource, are you investing in your offspring this knowledge wealth? Because remember, it's not just about the physical money. What are we leaving in these beings that we created? So if you did leave them a house or a piece of land, would they know how to manage it? Right? So wealth is built with those two ingredients, resources and time. Resources and time, right? Wealth, an abundance of valuable possessions. These are their definitions. And I always say this is the definitions that they gave us, but we got to analyze it and we got to study, right? So wealth, an abundance of, somebody trying to get in, of valuable possessions, so amazing, or money, and plentiful supplies of a particular resource. We could stick with both of them, right? Abundance of valuable possessions could be wealthy, okay? Forget money, because the guy, Michael Jackson, owned the Beatles, all their publishing. That wasn't money. That stuff is worth so much money, they probably can't calculate what it's worth. So because he owns that, he could always get what he wanted, when he was alive, right? Wealth. The little kids that he had that he said was his and all that, we ain't gonna get into all that because we know them wasn't his kids. But anyways, they some wealthy little jokers, right? Because they daddy made an investment in a resource, the Beatles, who was out before he was singing, and he bought their masters, and he made an investment in it, and they're rich to this day. Those kids don't have to work. They do whatever they want to do, who knows, right? Okay. Plentiful supplies of a particular resource. Okay. This is how the country was established. When these pilgrims came to this country, what did they come here for? Can anybody answer that? I just want to see what anybody just click off me. What did they come here for?
Was it land? Yeah, the land.
Right. Land. Land. That's what they wanted. And it wasn't, but who came? Who was the pilgrims? What was their nationality?
Savages.
Well, that was the characteristic. But what country did they come from? Europe. We know they came out of Europe, but they was Great Britain, right? Or England as it's called. But that wasn't them. It was other countries. It was Spanish, French. All these other people came from countries to acquire a resource, right? So they wanted this land, which is a resource. Okay. The state of Louisiana, which was like 5 states, was sold for cents, like pennies. Google it and see what they sold all this land for. But what are these states worth now? You couldn't put a price on it, right? There's resources there. There's oil. There's gold. You got to cultivate something, right? You got to realize you got to have some wealth. Before you have anything physically in a form of wealth, you got to have a wealth consciousness. So people that are rich, like think about what we went over. In order to the wealth consciousness, you got to get rid of myths. There's a myths and false beliefs that was given to people to keep us in a poverty mindset. And one of them is that money is evil. Now, it could be said the love of it, because the love or addiction to anything can become evil. If I love football so much and I forsake my family and I'm watching football, that's evil, right? But to say that it's an instrument of exchange is just evil is evil in itself, because if this is the tool that we use to feed ourselves and to feed people and to build churches and to build schools, you ain't doing none of that without money, right? So we got to get rid of myths, okay? And throw them away. And shift our consciousness to a higher level of existence. Wealth. Anybody ever read anything from Robert Kiyosaki? If you get into real estate, read them. Sometimes you might even watch some Robert Kiyosaki stuff. Just, his mind is very thoughtful, right? So I like Robert Kiyosaki, a lot of things about him, not everything, right? He got some crazy stuff too, but overall, man, be on point a lot. So when he talks about wealth, he always says survivability. So the number of days you can survive without physically working, or anyone in your household physically working, and still maintain your standard of living. That's how wealthy you are. The number of days you can survive physically without working, or anyone in your household physically working, and still maintain your standard of living is how wealthy you are. So in other words, if all your bills and all your food add up to $5,000 a month, right? And you make $2,000 a week, right? So you make 10,000, you make 8,000 a month, but it takes you $5,000 to live, right? So how wealthy are you? You're not even half a year. You got 2 months of wealth. Meaning, because if you couldn't work and your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband couldn't work, but y'all living in the house, it takes $5,000 for you to live, but you make $8,000 a month. So you couldn't survive for 2 months. So you don't have any, you got 2 months worth of wealth. So now take that concept of what we were talking about a few minutes ago, the generational wealth. There's people that are living off of wealth that was created hundreds of years ago, and they don't have to work because they had so much wealth. They took that wealth and they just started creating other wealth, right? So you took some slave money, we create insurance companies, we create hospitals. Oh, now they got these new things called cars. We're going to make auto companies. So they start adding wealth on top of wealth. and their kids are born and they can survive for generations. Generational wealth. So you can immediately add generational wealth in your bloodline because you represent your bloodline. Whatever your last name is, you're the representative of it, right? You're the CEO of your bloodline. You know, Brian, you're the CEO. You know, LaQuisha, you're the CEO. Mr. Murray, he already know he's the CEO of the bloodline. So therefore, what you do now, there's the investments you make, and our problem is, because the way they taught us about money, we always think, oh, I gotta have what we call, you know, the average person says a bunch of money, right? It's simple, consistent investments that create wealth. I learned a lot from real estate from a lady. Her name was Miss Sally. She was a very old white lady. And she lived like, you would think this woman was dirt poor. Like, she had a raggedy car. This lady had over 100 properties. And it was just weird, right? Because if you asked her, was she rich? Oh no, I'm just getting by. This lady had so much property. This is how she acquired her. All she did was go to tax liens. She used to say, Martin, you know, all you gotta do, you know, go buy this stuff a little bit. People don't pay the tax. I keep me $1,000 a month. And every time they had the tax auctions, she would buy stuff for like, all of this was it was like $300. She get a house, right? She's investing every time they had these tax sales, little bits of money, right? And then people forget about it. They don't pay the taxes, and she just piling up property. Now, when she died, she was almost 80, and she had nobody that took care of her. Like, when you went in her house, she had car titles, she had deeds, she had so much property, right? But the sad thing was she had no kids, right? And so all of her stuff went to they found some lady who's a crackhead who was in her family, and this crackhead ended up with all this property. But this lady understood how to build wealth. Simple investment she did. Every time a tax sale came, $300 here, $300 there, right? And thus she had wealth or survivability, right? They say the average American don't really have $1,000 in their saving, so that you don't have any wealth, okay? So what we're talking about is creating wealth. And what will shift your wealth consciousness? Stop thinking about you. See, if you're gonna be an entrepreneur, the way to really get money is to make it bigger than you. Your vision gotta be bigger than you. When I started my tax business, I said, I'm gonna call it global. I want this gotta be bigger than me. I immediately started thinking about, how can I make people rich? Not one, not two. At the time, the goal was 100 millionaires. Then I had to shift. I said, I got to make 1,000 Black millionaires. So I immediately made the goal and vision bigger than me. So what did that make? What happens? The consciousness shifted, because I'm no longer conscious of just taking care of this man right here. That part's simple. I mean, you take care of yourself. But if you want wealth, you got to think of, how can I serve more people on a larger scale, right? So when I'm talking business, I teach people to think big, right? We thinking too small with our thinking. So our consciousness has to shift. Shift your wealth consciousness, right? So money, wealth consciousness manifests abundance in all forms. Money is not just physical currency. Like I said earlier, money is not just that paper in your pocket. How we know that? Because we know we got credit cards, we got different forms of it, right? Currency is an energetic exchange, a reflection of value and your relationship with abundance. That's what currency is, right? It's a reason why they call it currency. Look up what a current is. Current is a flow. A current can be a current of water flowing, which is energy, right? Because we can make electricity from water. Current is the wind, which is a flow of energy, which we make electricity from air also. And current is what you call electricity. When you stick that plug into the socket and it's a flow. It's an exchange. When you start grasping that's what money is, you'll make more money. Why? You have to have, what's it say? Currency is an energetic exchange, a reflection of value, and your relationship with abundance. What is abundance? People. Your relationship with people, if you create a flow or a better relationship with people, right, you create an energetic flow that turns into money. If you serve more people, you're going to get more money. The better relationship you have with people, the more money you're going to have. If anybody is having a financial challenge right now, you get to yourself. By yourself. Forget your friends, and you sit with yourself and get on the frequency of whatever you want. Right? If it's 100,000, if it's 10, whatever it is, right? But it got to be bigger than what you physically know you've done already. Get on that frequency and start feeling as if you have it already, and then say, how can I serve more people to get on that frequency? It becomes bigger than you. A lot of you can just deal with your children. You gave birth to people. Stop looking at them as they just some kids. These are human beings, right? And you giving birth to humans and you want them to go through what you went through? I had an argument with my friend. It was a friendly argument. He owns all types of property. He's Black, and he was saying, man, you know what? I'm not going to leave none of my property to my son. And I was like, why? And he was like, man, every time I try to show him how I built these houses and this and that, he always quits the job. He always walks away. You know what I'm saying? Man, I ain't going to leave it to him. I said, okay, well, who you going to leave it to? And he was like, I don't know. I just ain't going to leave it to him. I said, well, because he quit the job. I said, well, maybe he don't like building houses. Maybe he likes something else. You know, he said, yeah, but he 28 years old and he ain't done, you know. And then my other partner, he owns a construction company. He's Hispanic. He's from Guatemala. He started laughing. He said, oh, he's 28, man. You know, that's maybe if it was a girl, he said, but he's a boy. Like, man, some of us we don't figure it out till we get 35. He said, man, you got to leave him something. He said, think about what if Trump messed up all his youth and then his daddy left him and he became Donald Trump, whether you like the man or not, right? So we have to create some wealth for the ones we care about, right? At least that's the least you got to do. That should be, because you got to take care of your household, right? But for those that want to go on a high frequency, you want to really shift and make something a splash in this world, you got to serve more people. Stop thinking small. I don't care if whatever your cleaning business is, go times 10. What Grant Cardone always be talking about 10x, right? Think bigger, faster, right? But this is really internal stuff. It's metaphysical and it's spiritual, right? Decision. Once you make the decision to having a wealth consciousness, you immediately become wealthy. Once you guys make that decision to say, I am wealthy, all I'm going to do is think wealth, you are wealthy immediately. You are so wealthy, right? Martin Luther King, how rich was he? Anybody know? Anybody know his net worth? Right. When you think of wealthy people, you don't think of Martin Luther King, do you? The average person doesn't, you know. Some of y'all guys so spiritual, y'all probably do. But the average person doesn't. Okay. Now, he was but he traveled all over to Europe. Got a Nobel Peace Prize, and I think they do that in Belgium somewhere or whatever, right? He was always able to travel anywhere. Whenever there was a problem with our people, he found a way to get there. Never heard him talking about standing in a soup line for himself. He was always creating ways for other people, right? He had a wealth consciousness. He knew what he wanted, and he really manifested a way to do all the things he wanted. His consciousness was so high that he said, yo, we need to be such and such in Washington, D.C., right? He didn't have to go work for it. He didn't go enslave himself from a 9 to 5. He manifested it. He said what he wanted to do, and people gave him the money to do it. It's a consciousness. When you want to serve more people, wealth is going to come your way. People always talk about pastors, preachers, they get all this money, this and that. Whether somebody's good, bad, whatever, however you view a pastor or preacher, they're using a form of consciousness. They're serving people in some aspect. They're giving them what they want, and thus they get what they want. So increase your consciousness, and your money's going to increase. But some of us don't understand delayed gratification. Remember, we had a class on that. The act of resisting an impulse to take immediately available reward in the hope of obtaining a more value reward in the future. Resist that impulse right now. Give it a little time, and it's going to be more valuable. Right? That's delayed gratification. If you don't understand that, it's going to be hard for you to really build any wealth. Okay? That's the problem with Black people as a whole in this country. That's why we're the #1 consumers. You take the money made in the Black economy, we will be the 4th largest, wealthiest country on the planet Earth. But we consume. We don't understand delayed gratification. We get income tax checks every year, and we just splurge and we blow the money, right? We don't have that wealth consciousness, right? We want to talk about Black Wall Street, we did then, okay? Right? What is it? Wealth consciousness? It's eliminating certain things. Look at that top. Fear. I don't have enough money, and you get scared, right? Don't have enough for what? Man, Mr. Glenn, I don't got enough to be investing in no real estate. You know how many different forms of real estate investment there are? People just think, real estate must take all this money and take all that. That's really the fear that's talking. And I said, what do you know about real estate? Well, I don't really know nothing. You're afraid of the unknown. What is that? Fear, false evidence appearing real. You got no evidence of anything. You're just afraid to be afraid, right? Anxiety. All this lack is stressing me out. People get anxiety. Some people get anxiety thinking about making an investment, right? Thinking about starting their business. I know I could cook, but I don't know, man. What if I can't get no customers? So they think themselves into failure and they never get started. All of this is a scarcity mindset and it's lack, poor choices, what they say. I spend my full paycheck and more. Then they rap about it. Man, blow a check, blow it fast. Poor habits, right? We all have done this in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Because once you commit to having a wealth consciousness, you're going to always hit blocks where you got to keep growing, right? Negative outcomes. My lack of money persists or gets worse. This is a scarcity loop. All of this deals with a scarcity mindset. Go bounce around. Look at all of these right here. And everybody here has said that in some way, shape, form, or fashion, right? Some of us get stuck there. Your wealthy people are people that know how to shift out of this because they have the wealth consciousness, right? They understand that money has a frequency. Everything has a frequency. Why? Because we know everything is vibrating. Nothing is still. And if everything vibrates, they manifest on certain vibratory levels, right? To really get money, you got to understand this. It's a frequency to money, right? It's a frequency from the money you got now to when the money you had 5 years ago, because you might have a new job or you started a new business, but you had to shift to another frequency. What did you have to do? Quit this job and go sign up for another one. Why? Because they pay more money. You wanted more money, so you had to shift your frequency. In order for you to shift your frequency, you had to quit that job. You had to walk through a fear barrier, or they say a terror barrier, walk through that fear and say, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna be the only Black person in this company, but I gotta get that money. So you went through that fear. That's a frequency. The problem is, if you don't have a wealth consciousness, you can get stuck. If you have a wealth consciousness, you always keep going. The massively successful, wealthy people that you see, they don't have a limitation. And that's why this guy owns this company, he owns that company, this and that. Or it's the guy in your state or neighborhood and he owns this and that. And they like, man, he always able to do this. And we as humans make excuses for people that do things that we're afraid to do, right? Wealth consciousness deals with frequency. Wealth consciousness is a state that must be nurtured, taken care of, and trained throughout entirety of your life. So this will go your whole life. You don't lose the wealth consciousness. You're always going to be going to it, right? It has to be nurtured, taken care of, and trained throughout the entirety of your life. The same way that our state of consciousness changes throughout the days, weeks, months, and years, so will our state of consciousness, right? That's just your awareness. It's always going to be growing. There's no end, right, to raising your vibration and raising your wealth consciousness. How do we do it? Some ways, auto-suggestion, affirmations, and different exercises. You got to have some affirmations. You got to have things you automatically suggest to yourself. I'm rich, I'm wealthy, right? You got to have exercises that you do, vision boards, people that you're around. This stuff got to be physical to program your subconscious mind, right? And programming ain't just saying, yeah, I'm rich, I'm wealthy. No, you got to feel it emotionally. You got to get totally emotionally involved, right? And you got to know that you are whatever you want. These are the keys to wealth. This is the key to money. If you want to change your financial situation, this is what you have to do. It's all about what you believe about yourself, your level of consciousness, your level of understanding, your conscious awareness, right? It's eliminating fear. Eliminating the fear and becoming who you are and saying who you are and being confident in who you are. The people that we're reading about in books and in scriptures were humans and people just like you. Right? Humans that came through a woman just like you. What they did was they applied universal laws over a period of time and became masters. You have the ability to master yourself spiritually and physically. And that's what we're about, taking the time. This, what you have done right here, this hour weekly, is an investment. Gonna give you a great return on your investment. Your kids will thank you for it, right? And more than just putting some money for a piece of property for them, put this same information in their head and tell them, look, we don't stop living in limits. You can become who you want to be. You can have as much money as you want. There's no limit. There's no more excuses. We don't identify with being, poverty stricken or poor or broke. Or I'm from this side of town, or I'm Black and this and that. All that's dead, right? Because it all been done before, right? So we can't make excuses. All of us, we're entrepreneurs. Let's live it. Let's become it. Let's manifest the things that we want. Let's shift our consciousness. Let's think wealth. Let's be wealth. Manifest wealth. That's the consciousness that we're on. And let's build these businesses. I could talk to y'all all day about this because this is what's true to me and this is what moves me. And I know it moves you guys, right? Because people don't just give their time for things that they don't feel are relevant in their lives. So I appreciate you because there's reciprocity in this. And let's take this information and let's better ourselves. Was there any questions? And one thing about me, I've been educating in-person, hands-on for years, right? I don't deal with things that, the absolute. So I don't mind if you have questions or want insight or anything, right? So please always feel free to say anything. Are there any questions, any input before we go?
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay. So you were saying that to change your frequency, you do things like affirmations, automatic suggestions, vision boards, and other exercises. What do you mean by other exercises? Can you give some examples?
Yeah. So, exercises we point out because it's physical. For example, you can create a goal card. A goal card is something that you see and you can touch, right? So because we humanly we're still physical. So if you see something, right? So if you write down whatever your goal is, I own my own business, right? And you write it on a card, right? You see it, you're speaking it, and you're touching it. The more senses that get involved in whatever you want, it manifests faster. So that would be an exercise that you could do. So you could say your affirmation, but you also pick up your goal card or touch it, right? And so what it does is it sends impulses throughout your body, and you're actually programming yourself for whatever it is that you want. We talk about the money, but it's always not about money. We manifest a lot of things more than money. So it could be whatever you want, but that's your goal. So that could be an exercise that you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's one that I definitely recommend. Because you're using, remember, manifestation, you're using visualization, concentration, meditation, right? Visualization is very important because you need to see a visual, right? You're always manifesting whatever it is you want. You're never not manifesting, but now you're conscious of whatever it is you want to manifest, right? So these were the exercise, and auto-suggestion is just reprogramming yourself. Another thing you can do, a lot of people, you can play your affirmations while you're sleeping and program your subconscious mind. Remember, your body is it's an electromagnetic energy source is what the human body actually is. So you're always really taking something in. You're asleep, you're just not consciously awoke, but you're still alive. So sounds and energies are still going into you, but you can control that. But you can play affirmations, you can play meditations while you're sleeping. So it's programming in your subconscious mind. That way you can even control and manifest your dreams. You see? So what it is you're becoming aware of who you are, right? You're becoming aware of your divine power. People say God power, or just the divine incarnate, or you're using your spiritual power and you're controlling and creating the life that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. More than welcome.
There's a million ways to reprogram your subconscious mind, because reprogram your subconscious mind, being able to speak things into existence, manifestation is all pretty much all in the same family. And so like how he was saying, those type of techniques, but like tapping is a way that you can do it. So you just tapping on certain pressure points. You can look up YouTube videos and it'll show you how to do it. You can tap your chest while you visualize and see what it is that you're trying to bring into your existence. You can write affirmations and codes on your water, because water holds memory. The molecules of water change with the words. Like even the words that he just spoke during this class, it just programmed my water, because it's a frequency that's going on around my water. And so like even drinking water while you're having negative conversations, you're really putting that inside of your body. And our bodies is made of water, like we're made up of over 70-something% of water. And so even speaking them out loud or even thinking them, it sends off a vibration to program those molecules. Reading books and listening to audio books, that's another way. Like watching positive things on TV, like, because a lot of the times especially women, when we watching a movie, we can get mad at our mate and everything off watching a movie. It's not even real, but our minds is putting us there. And so that's reprogramming your subconscious mind. Certain conversations you're having is reprogramming your subconscious mind. You can walk outside barefoot on the ground. You can go hug a tree. You can just go sit next to a tree, just put your back next to a tree. You could just go touch a tree, and it's going to help bring you back to reality, to help, steal your energy, to help reprogram your subconscious mind. You can literally just go outside and just stare at the moon, and it will reprogram your subconscious mind. You can just sit still and stare at a flame at a candle flame, just the light on it, and it'll reprogram your subconscious mind. And so there's so many techniques. You just got to figure out which ones feel good for you.
Okay, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And see, Brittany just put it, if you look up EFT tapping techniques, like they really work. Now, at first, you're going to be like, nah, come on. But if you just really just keep doing it and really concentrate on it, it really works. Like even right before the class, I just tap my chest and be like, and just, give me the words I need to be able to, introduce Chris properly or whatever it is. So like whatever it is that you're trying to go do, if you just tap your chest and be in that energy while you tapping your chest, you will start to embody that energy. And so they call that mirroring. So if you start and so another way, let's say if you want to be like Oprah Winfrey, right? If you start studying Oprah and you start sitting like Oprah and speaking like Oprah and try to do her body movements, you will start going into that energy and tap into that energy. And it's called mirroring. Or even looking in the mirror. Like if you actually looking at yourself in the mirror and speaking it, that reprograms you. Being in the shower and like imagining all that aggravation going away, or imagining abundance overflowing in your body, whatever it is, that changes you. And so it's so many techniques. Actually, everything that you're doing is a technique. We just don't look at it as a technique.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that, Sabrina. Well, we are a little bit longer than what we normally do, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So with that, we're going to get out of here. I appreciate everybody, all of you guys so much. And well, I'll see you again. We'll see each other next week.
Hey, one thing, family, listen, when you're on the Masternomics page, listen, we are family now. Hey, don't share how you feel about being in a group. Share how you feel about the class. If you see a post and it resonates with your spirit, share it. Even if it's something you already know, share it so that someone else that's on your timeline, they may need it. Because like he said, the more people you help, the more wealthy you are. Let's help each other. Listen, post your business. In the Masternomics, on the Masternomics page, Sabrina always reshare you guys' business. If you come across it, if we all promote each other business, we are able to reach more people. So let's just get on that where we able to send that energy out there together. We're able to uplift and empower each other individually and professionally. Okay, so if you get on there, share how you feel, share how this class has benefited you, share the changes, how you have evolved due to these classes. Put it in there. Let us know how you feel. Let us know that, the master teacher is giving you what you need, that Ms. Glenn is giving you what you need, that we are being filled, so that we'll know, how we can better assist you, and so that we can better promote one another's business. We can all evolve together. It's enough out here. It's enough money out here. It's limitless. Let's keep it going for one another.
Yes. I appreciate that. No doubt. Thank you, Miss Taisha, Queen Taisha.
Yes.
Family, I love y'all. We'll see each other again. Peace.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Deuces.
Deuces. Oh, Coco.
Yeah, Coco here.
Hey,
Coco. I didn't know you was on too. All right.
Me either.